Bienvenidos. Hoy iniciamos un viaje diferente, una investigación periodística sobre la fe en Cristo.
Al final llegas a ese punto. Fue el 8 de noviembre de 1981. Me fui a mi habitación yo solo. Era un domingo por la tarde, tomé mi libreta de notas, como me habían enseñado en la escuela de leyes, y dibujé una línea en el medio. Y a un lado puse la evidencia que había visto que era convincente para mí, que Jesús es el Hijo de Dios, quien lo comprobó regresando de entre los muertos. Y en el otro lado, la evidencia negativa. Y estoy escribiendo página tras página tras página y finalmente dejé mi bolígrafo a un lado y dije, espera un minuto, a la luz de la cantidad de evidencias que apunta tan significativamente hacia la verdad del cristianismo, que se requeriría más fe de mi parte mantener mi ateísmo o convertirme al cristianismo. Pues, para mantener mi ateísmo tendría que nadar contra la corriente, contra este torrente de evidencia que fluía en sentido contrario. Me capacité en el periodismo y leyes para responder a la verdad. No podía negarlo, ya no podía nadar contra la corriente. Así pues dije, Señor Jesús, yo creo que tú eres el Hijo de Dios, que lo demostraste regresando de entre los muertos. Pero, ¿qué puedo hacer? ¿Qué hago? Y recuerdo que alguien me había mostrado un versículo, Juan 1:12, y lo busqué. Y dice, mas a todos los que le recibieron, a los que creen en su nombre, les dio potestad de ser hechos hijos de Dios. Y me di cuenta de que creer en Él implicaba recibirlo. Es decir, no se trata de estar de acuerdo intelectualmente con la doctrina de la iglesia, sino en recibir a Jesús.
Demuéstrame que Dios existe aquí mismo. Tienes un minuto.
Si la Tierra se acerca 1 kilómetro hacia el Sol, arderíamos. Si se aleja 1 kilómetro, nos congelaríamos. Cada detalle de la galaxia ha sido perfectamente diseñado. El equilibrio entre materia y antimateria es preciso hasta en una 10.000.000ª parte para poder sostener la vida. La probabilidad de que haya vida en ese ambiente, 1 en 1.000 millones. De que haya vida inteligente, con conciencia que pueda discernir entre el bien y el mal, yo diría que 1 en 1.000.000.000.000. Si se toma una proteína, los aminoácidos deben estar perfectamente alineados. Ni siquiera la ciencia moderna puede hacerlo. La probabilidad de que una proteína se forme al azar es de 10 a la 64ª potencia. El ADN humano es tan astronómicamente complejo que ningún cálculo lo habría podido unir de manera tan perfecta. Yo siento, y lo sé que yo veo a Dios en todas partes.
Porque lo que de Dios se conoce es manifiesto, pues Dios se lo manifestó. Porque las cosas invisibles de Él, su eterno poder y deidad, se hacen claramente visibles desde la creación del mundo, siendo entendidas por medio de las cosas hechas, de modo que no tienen excusa.
Ayaan Hirsi Ali, for those people who are not familiar, has had an extraordinary life story. She was born and raised in Somalia, at which point she was an enthusiastic member of the Muslim Brotherhood. She then escaped and became a refugee into the Netherlands, where she rose to become a top-ranking politician and a best-selling author. Her book, Infidel, has sold many, many millions of copies over the decades. And during that time and in the years since, she became synonymous with the new atheism movement. She renounced her Islamic past, and if you actually look up new atheism, there are the 4 horsemen, as they are known, and then straight after that is Ayaan Hirsi Ali. So she has been absolutely integral to that movement. Last autumn, some months ago, on Unheard, in fact, she announced that she had become a Christian. And the world reacted. It was covered in all of the newspapers, and it was seen rightly as an incredibly significant story in the world of ideas. Richard Dawkins, who needs no further introduction, but I must, is perhaps the most famous atheist in the world. His books, The God Delusion, The Selfish Gene, are some of the biggest selling non-fiction books of all time. He has been active making the argument for the atheistic cause for decades, and when his close friend and fellow new atheist announced that she had become a Christian, he wrote an open letter to her saying, and I quote, "Seriously, I am? You, a Christian? You are no more a Christian than I am." We're bringing them together for the first time to have that out and have that conversation. So please, to begin with, welcome to the stage, Richard Dawkins. Just tell us the story, how such a famous atheist, someone who had rejected religion, came to call herself a Christian.
Oh. So I want to say that I didn't, like many people who come to faith, I didn't see big banging lights, and I didn't have any of those spectacular experiences that some people share. I wish I did, but I didn't. I had a personal crisis. I lived for about a decade with intense depression and anxiety, self-loathing. I hit rock bottom. I went to a place where I actually didn't want to live anymore, but wasn't brave enough to take my own life. And so I was self-medicating. I had, over a long period of time, seen psychiatrists, other doctors. I was trying to understand my condition and trying to treat it with the help of pure evidence-based science. And in January, February of last year, I saw one therapist who said, perhaps it's something else that you have, and she described it as spiritual bankruptcy. And that resonated with me, and having reached a place where I had absolutely nothing to lose, I prayed, and I prayed it desperately. And for me, that was a turning point. And what happened after that is a miracle in its own right. I feel connected to something higher and greater than myself. I feel my zest for life is back, and it is something that's very subjective. It's extremely difficult to explain. I'm trying to work, get into the details, the granular details of how I got there in a book, but that is a short. That's the shortest story that I can tell.
Let's go to Richard Dawkins' reaction, because
that's a moving personal story, but to call yourself a Christian is a bit different. I mean, a Christian has to believe in something, and you go to church now, and you listen to the vicar, and you kind of notice what a lot of nonsense he talks. I mean, do you really take it seriously that Jesus is the Son of God, Jesus rose from the dead, Jesus was born of a virgin, and that's part of Christianity.
So I think because you, and I know you very well, we've been friends for a long time, and in fact, in some ways, I think of you as a mentor. I would say you're coming at this from a place of there is nothing. And what has happened to me is I think I have accepted there is something. And when you accept that there is something, there is a powerful entity. For me, the God that turned me around, I think what the vicar is saying no longer sounds nonsensical. It makes a great deal of sense. And not only does it make a great deal of sense, it's also layered with the wisdom of millennia. And so, like you, I did mock faith in general, and probably Christianity in particular, but I don't do that anymore. And again, that's where the humility comes into it, is it doesn't seem, in 2024, after I went through that experience, it doesn't seem nonsensical to me, and I don't mock it. I think I've come down to my knees to say, perhaps those people who've always had faith have something that we who lost faith don't have. And people who have faith also, like the woman who told me, well, you've tried everything and you've lost hope, you've lost faith. Try it, pray. I think just in that one word, there is so much wisdom and that it's. I am stuttering and I'm staggering to say. I'm just trying to say no. It's not stupid. It's in fact it's clever and it's wise.
So you believe in some kind of higher power, which is comforting you. And you're obviously reacting from an Islamic past, and I know that from what you've written, that part of what you feel is Christianity is a bulwark against Islam, which is a quite separate thing from what you've been now saying. But I believe you stand by that. I mean, that's part of what you're saying, and I accept that, and I support that. That's why I've called you a political Christian. But from what you've just said, it sounds as though you're more than just a political Christian. I mean, it sounds as though you actually believe it.
So what is your response to those specific questions of Richard? When the vicar is saying that Jesus is the Son of God literally, not figuratively, how do you square that with your highly trained rational mind?
Well, it is, again, different planes of perception. So I choose to accept Jesus Christ, the teachings of Jesus Christ, the story of Jesus Christ. I choose to accept that. So on the personal level, the rewards I get, very subjective again, but mine and through choice, which is separate from where I think that, aside from my personal experience, the history of Western civilization is mainly Christian, and that the external forces, for instance, the spread of Islam non-violently or violently, and the challenge of Islam and the message of Islam to Western civilization can be countered and should be countered with the message of Western civilization, which is essentially Christian. And in that sense, I think there are more people who agree with me, but that is on the societal level. And then on the civilizational level, I think that every moral, you've used yourself, Richard, the phrase lately that there is moral Christianity and there is cultural Christianity. And when moral and cultural Christianity collides with moral and cultural Islam, or moral and cultural Confucianism, or cultural authoritarianism, I think then perhaps we're on the same page about that might be a way of countering it.
Yes.
But on the personal level, yes, I choose to believe in God. And I think there we might say, let's agree to disagree.
Dígale su nombre y ocupación a la corte.
Mi nombre es Lee Strobel. Soy profesor de pensamiento cristiano de la Universidad Bautista de Houston y autor de más de 20 libros sobre el cristianismo, entre ellos El caso de Cristo.
¿Podría ayudarme a demostrar la existencia de Jesucristo?
Absolutamente, más allá de cualquier duda razonable.
¿Cómo?
En realidad, este tribunal ya lo afirmó cuando nos llamaron a orden y me dieron la fecha. Nuestro calendario se ha dividido entre AC y DC, basados en el nacimiento de Jesús, que sería toda una hazaña si nunca existió. Más allá de eso, el historiador Gary Habermas enumera 39 fuentes antiguas para Jesús, donde enumera más de 100 hechos reportados acerca de su vida, enseñanzas, crucifixión y resurrección. De hecho, la evidencia histórica de la ejecución de Jesús es tan fuerte que uno de los estudiosos del Nuevo Testamento más famoso del mundo, Gerd Ludermann de Alemania, dijo: la muerte de Jesús como consecuencia de la crucifixión es indiscutible. Ahora, hay muy pocos hechos de la historia antigua que un historiador crítico como Gerd Ludermann diga que es indiscutible. Y una de ellas es la ejecución de Jesucristo.
Discúlpeme, pero usted es creyente, ¿no es así? Un creyente de la Biblia.
Culpable de los cargos.
Dígame, ¿esto no influenciaría su percepción de la probabilidad de que Jesús existió?
No, porque no es de percepción. Podemos reconstruir los hechos básicos acerca de Jesús de fuentes que no son cristianas fuera de la Biblia. Y Gerd Ludermann es un ateo. En otras palabras, podemos probar la existencia de Jesucristo solamente con el uso de fuentes que no tienen ninguna simpatía hacia el cristianismo. Como el historiador agnóstico Bad Ehrman dice, Jesús verdaderamente existió, nos guste o no. Lo pongo de esta forma. Negar la existencia de Jesús no hace que se vaya. Simplemente demuestra que no habrá ninguna prueba que los convenza.
Gracias. No más preguntas, su señoría.
Señor Kane.